David McClendon, 7919 Independence Boulevard, Baton Rouge.
And by whom are you employed?
Louisiana State Police.
How long have you been employed with state police?
A little over 22 years.
And what is your current rank and assignment?
I'm currently a major command inspector over support services.
On February 22nd, 2017, were you instructed to conduct an administrative investigation of Rodney Hyatt, Thurman Miller, and Darrell Williams?
Yes, I was.
When you interviewed the appellants, did you ask them if they had kept any record of their work while in San Diego?
I know I asked them for any information that would be beneficial to help explain their time.
Okay, was anyone able to provide you a record of what they reported for work in San Diego?
At some point, I know Rodney Hyatt provided a breakdown of some time, travel time, but not specific, I guess, throughout the trip.
And was that something he created while he was on the trip, do you know?
No, I think that was something after the trip when he got back. He was trying to create a timeline. That's my understanding.
And did you speak to each appellant about plans with regards to planning the trip?
Yes, I did.
Okay, did you talk about how it came to be that they went to San Diego?
Yes.
Did anyone tell you that they were ordered to go to San Diego?
No.
With regard, did anyone express that the northern route was the most scenic route?
It was mentioned, yes, that it was the most scenic route. I know Rodney had said he had spoken to some individuals that had traveled that route. The southernmost route, or the I-10 route, was mostly barren, and it was the most scenic route that they had intended to take two different routes, one going, one coming back.
And in your investigation or review, did you find anything in either PPM 49 or state police policy that says take the most scenic route?
No, I did not.
So the first night when they stopped in Amarillo, I believe we stipulated that the cost of the lodging there at the Marriott Courtyard was $149 a night. And how many rooms did they get?
3 rooms.
Okay. And did you review the travel regulations to determine what was the allowable rate for lodging in Amarillo?
Yes, I did. Amarillo is an out-of-state city. It does not fall in one of the higher cost cities that's listed in tier 3 or 4. So under tier 2, it would be the rate of $91 per night.
It's October 10th. On the 11th, they depart Amarillo and get to the Grand Canyon Village area. We stipulated that they stayed at a Holiday Inn Express there, and the lodging was $229 a night. What did you determine was the rate for that city?
It too is a tier 2 city, so it would be the same rate, $91 a night.
So did you determine that they exceeded the maximum allowable lodging rate?
Yes, I did.
So if you look at the agenda, can you tell me what time the SPOS conference started on that day?
I believe it starts at 9 o'clock with an 8 o'clock continental breakfast, so it actually started at 9.
Did you question Hyatt about missing the SPOS conference that day up until 15:30 hours?
Yes, I did.
What did he tell you?
I asked him about it as far as when he left Las Vegas. Obviously, he knew he had to be in San Diego on that day. He advised that it was difficulty getting everybody going early that morning, whether it was due to fatigue or whatever. They got started later than anticipated, and ultimately they left. It was a longer drive than what he anticipated, and they made it there around 15:30. I did question him about if he had prior permission or any discussion about missing the conference, and he advised that he did not. I arrived at my conference at approximately 15:30 hours. However, my main goal that way, as directed by Lieutenant Colonel Dupuy, was to provide transportation to anyone who would be arriving from the airport that day. Furthermore, I had already advised Colonel Edmondson that I would be late getting to the conference, to which he stated that would be good, all right. Because I had proper authorization, I did not violate policy for neglect of duty by missing part of the conference.
And was that inconsistent with his sworn statement to you during the investigation?
It was, yes, ma'am.
During your investigation, did you ask Lieutenant Hyatt if he had gone to the San Diego Zoo in La Jolla?
Yes, I did.
And when you asked him about this, did you ask if he had any business purpose?
I did. He advised that he did not.
Okay, so were you able to establish a period of time that he was at the zoo in La Jolla?
Yes.
And how long was that?
3.5 hours. During my time at the conference, it was understood that I was there to provide transportation to events if needed, and as a result was always on duty. For 3.5 hours, I was on, in quotes, waiting time and engaged to wait for my necessary assignment. I did attend the zoo and visit La Jolla. However, I was always in a state of ready and on call if needed, and would have responded if called, as I have always done in past conferences. Facts. I was there to provide transportation to events. If called, I needed to respond to fulfill my duty. And I was in a period of inactivity, engaged to wait for my next duty assignment. These facts illustrate that I properly claimed compensation in accordance with the FLSA.
Did you find that statement to be consistent with what he told you under oath?
No, I did not.
So we heard from Trooper Neskadinsky earlier. He testified to what his assignments were in San Diego, and he gave them those assignments. So Lieutenant Hyatt was the one who was supposed to be providing transportation. Was there more than one vehicle there, a state vehicle?
No, it was just one vehicle that they drove.
Did Lieutenant Hyatt at the time tell you how many times he drove people while in San Diego?
I don't think he drove anybody. I think what he said was once Alex was determined Alex was there and would be working and would be compensated, Alex did all the driving.
On the first day, what was entered as the departure time, October 10th?
6 o'clock.
And what points travel did it show?
Baton Rouge to San Diego.
And what tier did it list?
Tier 3.
And how many meals were claimed?
3.
And what was the total cost?
For that day, $61.
Did you find that to be accurate?
No, I did not.
Isn't it true that they weren't in San Diego on Monday?
That's correct.
How about the 11th? Were they in San Diego?
No, they were not.
How about on the 12th, were they in San Diego?
No, they were not.
How about on the 18th, or the 19th, I'm sorry, were they in San Diego?
On which day?
The
Well,
19th
no, they were not.
and the 20th?
No.
And did they claim tier 3 meals for all those days?
Yes, they did.
Okay, let's focus specifically on Thurman Miller. And what did you determine his actual end time was?
Based on the information we had, we approximated that it was 4 o'clock.
Where'd you get that from?
And speaking to him, he lives in Natchitoches and drove down that morning from Natchitoches to Baton Rouge and left at approximately 4 o'clock that morning.
And how did you determine the out time?
The out time was a combination of utilizing the fuel records, hotel records, and statements. On this particular evening, there was some discrepancy with the hotel check-in and the fuel records. The hotel check-in showed like 11:30 that evening.
Excuse me, excuse me, Major. We have a stipulation as to what time they got to, that's the stipulation. If we're gonna vary from the stipulation, I could go into a lot of questions about where he got that information. It really doesn't make any difference. He called them up and asked them, but it doesn't make any difference. They stipulated to it 12:30 the next morning.
That's what he just said, but we're trying to show that the time that he claimed was inaccurate based on that, and how he arrived at it. Unless I don't have to prove the charges, why the timesheet's inaccurate if we'll stipulate to it.
I think it says the timesheet, we have the timesheet and we have the number of hours that he traveled. We talking about Thurman Miller. He traveled 20.5 hours according to the major, and he claimed 12 hours. Stupid on his part, but that's what he did.
Okay, so as long as we're not gonna have an issue with this chart here as to what our investigator determined to be the correct time.
It doesn't make any difference what the we stipulated what the correct time was. We spent hours and hours sitting in the library in my office coming up with these stipulations, and for 3 days after that, if this is what it, Major McClendon determined they got in at 12:30, that he traveled, that he got in at 12:30 at night the next day, and then he traveled 20.5 hours. That's it. How he got there doesn't make any difference because we stipulated to it.
I don't have an issue with the time. What I'm trying to show is that what he claimed on the timesheet was inaccurate to prove the violation that's cited.
Well, we have the timesheet stipulated in evidence of what he showed, and we have the major's determination of what time he got in. We have a stipulation of what time he got in, and then he traveled for 20.5 hours. What else do you need? I admit that they didn't put down 20.5 hours. If they'd have had a right to an attorney, I certainly advised him to do that. But you know, they didn't get their rights to attorney.
I think it's okay for her to, we have a stipulation of what time they arrived. You can't vary from that, but to ask questions about what time was put in the timesheet for travel is okay.
It goes towards proving the violation that the timesheet was inaccurate. If we're gonna stipulate the timesheet's inaccurate, I'm okay with that.
I think the major already testified that Rodney said that those times were estimates.
But I think it's different to ask what was put in the timesheet from what was agreed upon as the time of arrival. And so I think that you can go there.
If we're okay with the major's conclusions, we're not gonna argue over his conclusions as to the time that should have been claimed, then we don't have an issue. But when he's cited with accrual of time, I have the burden of proof of proving that it wasn't accurate. If we need to show how he determined it wasn't accurate, but if we're gonna stipulate it wasn't
I
accurate.
think you got a ruling in your favor already.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you determine that Hyatt, Miller, and Williams all put inaccurate in and out times on their time sheets?
Yes, I did.
Did you find that Hyatt and Miller overclaimed their time as you determined in your investigation as outlined in the chart in each one of their disciplinary letters?
Yes.
Did you determine that that violated Louisiana State Policy and Procedure Order?
Yes, I did.